What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hood healer. It's your favorite hood high priestess. It's your favorite motivational dominatrix. It's your favorite auntie, captain, goddess, king, LadySpeech in the place to be. And I want to welcome you back to this here channel. You could be anywhere. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you also chose to share a little time and space with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you happen to feel this, if you happen to feel me, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, go ahead and hit the like button. I invite you to hit the subscribe button, and I also invite you to hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with these here shenanigans. Now, let's take a deep dive into today's video, shall we? All right, y'all, let's take a deep dive. We're gonna get all the way into it. And you know what? I've decided that for me, this is going to be Ancestor Week on this here channel. And I'm gonna do more than one video that addresses ancestor veneration, ancestor worship, and you know, the place that our ancestors have within our spiritual team and all kinds of stuff like that. So let's just get into it. Today, we're going to get into a very particular subject. As you can see, it's heavy as hell. So let's dive all the way into it. This video was inspired by a comment or a series of comments that was made on a TikTok video that I did. So first and foremost, shout out to my TikTok. That is LadySpeech Sankofa. If you want to follow me on there, lots of random shenanigans happen on that channel. Witchy things, motivational things, random things, early morning things, my random thoughts. So feel free to follow me on there if you want to participate in that. But this video that I posted the other day was about ancestor veneration, and the essence of the video, the point of the video was about the fact that when we make offerings to our ancestors, we want to make sure that we center their wants, needs, and desires, their culture, things that are familiar to them. It's not about centering us, because when we become ancestors and we are venerated and we are honored, we need to be honored for who we are, our tastes, our wants, the things that we desire, all that kinds of stuff. So cosmic reciprocity, if you will. So then there was this quote, or excuse me, this statement that was left, and this question that was left on that video. And I did not respond to it for a while because, as you know, you have about a 60-minute time limit when it comes to these teens. You have a 60-minute time limit on TikTok. And I was like, this deserves an even deeper explanation. So let me go ahead and just read the comment, and then we're going to get into the video, okay? Or to the answer, because we're deep in the video. I keep saying that like we ain't already in the deep dive. Anyway, so here's the statement. It said, so everyone is saying that working with ancestors are great, but I've got some really bad people. Not to mention a huge majority of my ancestors are, that's first comment, colonizers, and I feel so stuck. I don't want to work with those people, but everyone is saying that working with them helps you. Next part of the comment. Oh yeah, no. Everyone is saying that working with them helps you. Do you have any suggestions as what to do? That was the third comment. So do you have any suggestions? Okay, let's get into it. This is going to be a little complex. So bear with me, okay? First and foremost, let me give you a little bit of background. I practice traditions that honoring and venerating and uplifting our ancestors and making offerings to our ancestors is a cornerstone of my spiritual practice. I come from the school of thought that this is a key component to everyone's spiritual practice. Your ancestors are a key component to your spiritual team. And I also tend to believe this and come from the school of thought because many of our ancestral backgrounds contain spaces where we acknowledge that ancestor veneration was a thing. So many of us come from, when we take a deeper dive into ourselves and our ancestry and our ethnicities, so many of us come from cultures that honored the ancestors. And I just really, from my own practice, I really believe that connecting with your ancestors will help you in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. And again, I follow practices that center this. So the perspective that I'm coming from is the hoodoo, the conjure, and the African traditional religious perspective. And I'm also actually coming from some like old school, interestingly enough, I'm through my colonizer ancestry. I also come from some really rooted Scottish magic too that I'm just now, you know, getting a hold of. The Welsh magic, the English magic. I've got that via the colonizers in me due to the enslavement story of the American Black people, and of world Black people. So And I also like in those traditions, what I've been learning from them and what I've actually been learning for a long time via those ancestors, just didn't really realize or connect the dots for a while that they were the ones like directing me in that space, is that they too, actually the ancient ones over there, come from a space where they too honor and remember the ancestors. So let's talk about how ancestor veneration and ancestor honoring work when you have colonizer blood inside of you. So of course there are going to be some people who have more colonizer blood in them than other people, but I believe it's like 80 to 90% of the world has been colonized, so most of us have a colonizer's blood inside of us, okay? And what we know is the story of colonization is very, very ugly in a lot of spaces. In most spaces, it desecrates the cultures that were thriving, that were doing their thing. It kind of desecrates them, and in some cases it eradicates them, and in some cases it reabsorbs, it remakes those people, and it reabsorbs those people, okay? So the person that wrote this comment, from the energy of the comment, I'm assuming that they are from a Western space and they're white. I didn't go to their profile. Actually, I did go to their profile just to look at their profile picture, and they do present as white. So they're either white or white presenting, okay? And I have definitely worked with a lot of different types of people in my practice. I've been in the game for over 20 years, so I work mainly with Black and Indigenous people, but I've also worked with, I live in Colorado, baby, so I've also worked with a fair amount of white people in their spirituality. So let me start with this statement. For people who have more colonizer blood in them, the reason why you're going to work with your colonizer ancestry in some way, shape, or form is because your colonizer ancestors are already working in and through you. Let that sink in, and that is going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, hence the long pause. Now I'm going to say it again. The reason why it's important to work with your colonizer energy or your colonizer energy, because it's present within you, and it's present within you because you have colonizer ancestry. This is actually for everybody. And there's, depending on where you're at, you're going to work with your colonizer energy and ancestors at different levels, okay? And that's between you and your ancestors. But the reason why you want to work with your colonizer and you want to acknowledge your colonizer ancestor energy is because it is working through you, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? If you have your great-grandmother's eyes and your great-great-uncle's hands and your great-great-grandfather's feet and your great-great-great-great-grandmother's lips and your great-grandmother's, you know, nose and your grandmother's smile and your daddy's hair and your mama's teeth, if we in our physical bodies are a collection of all of these things from our ancestry, our psyche and the DNA memory that is in our blood is also a collection of our ancestry as well. Science has proven that we carry DNA memory of our ancestors' story in our blood. We carry their trauma, we carry their pain, we carry their victory, we carry these generational memories in our blood. We carry trauma, we carry triumph, we carry everything in between of those things in our blood and in our DNA, okay? Whether or not you are working with your ancestors are working with you. They're working through you. Now here's going to be another hard pill to swallow. For some of us who have the blood of the ancestors, of the colonizer in us, depending on who we are and how we present to the world, that colonizer, you've got some colonizer energy and ancestors that are actually, and have been for a long time, working for your highest good. That's crazy. Let me say that again. For some of us with colonizer blood inside of us, those colonizers, those racist people are working for your highest good in your ancestry because they accept you, they love you. For some of us, the colonizer ancestry in our blood doesn't mess with us because some people, you know, when they cross over to the other side, they elevate, work on their things, become different people. Some people die as who they are, and that's who they are on the other side. So there are some of us who have, like myself, I have colonizer blood inside of me due to the story of the enslavement of black people in America, and the Ma'afa and the Black Holocaust, where black people were taken, stolen, sold, in the transatlantic slave trade. The white blood that exists inside of me is due to that. It is directly tied to that ugly story. So from a spiritualist perspective, those ancestors who raped and pillaged the colonizer ancestors who raped and pillaged the enslaved ancestry from the African to the Native American side, those ancestors do not like me, and they've been very clear about that they don't connect with me. Some of them. There are some of them who are clear that the stance that they took in that life was not good. There are some of them who've done some work, and there are some of them who were actually abolitionists in that space as well. Not a lot, but there are some who have that energy, okay, in that ancestry. Those are the ones that I work with. Also, and actually I should say I work with all of the ancestors, and there's different ways that I work with the ancestors, okay? To the ancestors who don't mess with me because they were racist and they hated the black women and the black men that they raped and pillaged and made biracial babies with, and treated them as slaves as well. I work with them in that through their lineage, I have been able to access older ancestry, more ancient ancestry. So I do not work with them directly, but it is an interesting thing that has happened because I have embraced the fact that they are in my blood. I work with the energy that is there, and they aren't the first of their lineage. So I don't work with them. I've made it clear in my rituals and my ceremony that I don't want them anywhere near me, and they are happy to be anywhere near me. You have to remember that we ourselves come with thousands of ancestors. There have been hundreds to thousands of people who made love, who had sex, who did the dirty, who did the do to get you here, okay? So there are pockets and parts of your ancestors that are here, that are cheerleading for you, that are specifically here for you. And there's parts of your ancestry that are not necessarily going to mess with you, okay? Because our lineage is so deep and so complex, all right? So I've made it clear to those ancestors that they have no place here, but their lineage, we can't deny the fact that they are in me. And what I have done spiritually is reach further back than them. It's kind of like, if you don't, can I speak to your manager energy? That's what it is. It's in spiritual, I need to speak to your manager energy, okay? I don't want to mess with you. I don't want to mess with the races, but I need to speak to your manager. Why is it important to deal with that aspect of our ancestry? Because that aspect of that ancestry shows up in you, whether or not you deal with it or not. As a black person, I can honestly admit to you, because of the conditioning, because of the indoctrination of America, because of the way black people are treated, I definitely have internalized anti-blackness. I have internalized misogynoir. I have internalized fat phobia. I have internalized bigotry. I have internalized biases, okay? And this is all due to the colonialism that happened to my people, all right? If I'm going to do a good job of confronting that within me, I have to confront it in me, and I also have to confront it at its source. What is the source of that? My ancestors. So dear white allies, dear white accomplices, if you want to be a better white ally, if you want to be a better white accomplice, actually, I know you don't want to, but one of the ways that you're going to need to, and one of the ways it's going to help you be a better white ally and accomplice to black people and indigenous people, is confronting the root of racism in your blood and dealing with those ancestors. So, does this mean that you're going to call on those ancestors? Does this mean that you're going to include them in every ritual? Does this mean that you are going to uplift them in the way of praise and honor? No. But what it means is you're going to accept the fact that this is in your blood, and because this is in your blood, it influences you now. By dealing with the root, you will be able to do some real spiritual healing when it comes to the legacy of racism in this country and in other countries, the legacy of anti-blackness, the legacy of misogynoir, the legacy of colonialism that did not start with Black and Indigenous people. I know we don't want to deal. I know we don't want to deal with those ancestors. I know we don't want to connect or confront with those ancestors, but we need to. I'm Black, hun, and when I took I did take an ancestry DNA test, which confirmed I'm mostly Black. About 85% in this piece, okay, about 85%. It's actually like 85 to 87%. That 15 to 13% is, you know, the colonizer. It is the European blood that is inside of me. And so I mostly deal with Black African ancestors, a little bit of Native Indigenous ancestors from this space, but mostly it's Black ancestors that I'm dealing with. And but those colonizer ancestors are potent, and their influence is there. The more that I have gotten deeper into decolonization, the more that I have gotten into re-indigenization, the more that I have, the more that I attack my internalized fat phobia, you know, misogynoir, anti-blackness, the more that I confront that within me as it's been indoctrinated in me my lifetime, but also as it has been indoctrinated in me through generations before, through the blood of my ancestors, through the experience of my ancestors. The more that I confront that, the more that I'm able to do a lot of healing within myself when it comes to the ancestors inside of me, okay? Also, the more I'm able to embrace the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the magic from all parts of me, okay? Listen. What I've learned about ancestor veneration, the more that I have, the more that I do it over the years, the more that I participate in it, I come to the understanding that our ancestors were human. They were made of really beautiful parts and also really not so great parts. They were wonderful people, and they were also not so good people. And we are made up of all of that. There's no use in denying the good, the bad, or the ugly in your lineage. Honoring my ancestors has drawn me into a deeper understanding of their story. First off, the story of my immediate ancestors, and then the story of my generational and my expanded family ancestors. The more that I learn about them, I learn about their humanity. I learn about the good aspects of them, the bad aspects of them, as those things are also reflected in me. Honoring my ancestors and treating them with humanity has allowed myself to be treated with humanity from myself. And the more that I do that, the more I'm able to demand that you all treat me with humanity, that you hold space for my humanity, that you see my full humanity. Honoring my ancestors has taught me that some really bad people did some very great things to guarantee that I'm here. And some really good people did some really bad things to get me here. It makes me understand that I am duality, that I am a genius and a hot mess. I am perfect in every way and a work in progress. I'm so beautiful and amazing, and I'm problematic as hell. Holding space for the humanity of my ancestors has allowed me to hold space for me. And it's allowed me to truly work with the healing of my issues and the breaking of generational cycles. So even though I know you don't want to, it's actually really important that all of us work with the colonizer ancestors that exist inside of us. and there's different levels and there's different ways that we're going to work with them. My colonizer ancestors aren't invited to my everyday rituals and spiritual practices. They don't get honored on the altar. They don't. They get acknowledged though, and they get worked with when I do ancestral deep healing. When I go to certain rituals, oh yeah, I actually do call up the colonizers and I bring that energy down, because I am made up of the colonizer and the colonized, and there is a deep wound there that needs to be addressed. So when I am in certain big, huge ceremonies where I am being supported by a legion of ancestors, and there are several different healers that are there, and we know there's big rituals, there's little rituals, there's all those things, but when I have that support, no, I do bring those ancestors there, because the wound of colonialism shows up inside of me. So it is important and imperative that we heal the wound of colonialism outside of us, but also inside of us. And you ain't gonna heal it inside of you unless you acknowledge the ugliness that exists there. So I know you don't want to work with your colonized ancestors, but you're gonna need to figure it out, and that's all of us, and it's different levels to it in different ways. Biopic people need to work with their colonized ancestors differently. White allies and white people need to work with their colonized ancestors differently. And even in those practices, there's going to be nuances and different things that are different, okay? This is why I always speak to the fact that spirituality is a whole journey, not a destination, so we take our time with it. We take our time with it, and spirituality is also a lifestyle. Healing is a whole journey, not a destination, so we take our time with it. There's layers and levels to this, so we take our time with it, and we just focus on the one step in front of the other, all right? I hope and pray that this answers a little bit of why it's important to work with the colonized ancestors. Now, when it comes to tips and tricks and ways of working with them, and actually the mechanics of this, what Spirit has told me is that I'm going to put out a few workshops about that, because videos, they hit, but like this needs to be a class. This needs to be a class or a workshop, so that is what I'm in the middle of developing, so that I can teach you the mechanics of this, because some of you are actually going to get it from this video, and you're going to immediately, it's going to resonate, and you're going to, your practice and your way of incorporating this into your world, into your spiritual practice, it's going to come to you. Some of you are not going to, you know, have that type of guidance, so I got you, all right, I got you. So thank you. If you made it to the end of this video, gold star for you. Thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you so much. If this resonated with you at all, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notifications bell. Let me know if this did resonate with you, if this helped you along in your journey at all. And again, if you're interested in the mechanics of the way we work with our colonizer ancestors, the way we work with these types of things to help us dismantle things like racism and anti-blackness and misogynoir from an internal perspective, I've got a workshop for you. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, between time, if you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe bell button. And make sure you hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with these here shenanigans again and again and again. All right? So, until we meet again, I'll see you in the next video. Mwah! Peace!